What's up, everybody? It's AG Sports, finally making another Sunday night video, hopefully catching you guys in time to beat some of these lines out. I know I've said in the past, this time of year, the lines are pretty sharp, even from the very beginning, the very get-go of the week, like Sunday night, they're already kind of where they should be. There is some line value though to have for this particular week, and there has been the last week or two here. Just not been able to get the videos to you guys, but you do see the lines move, and usually they're moving Monday mornings because there's a lot of betting syndicates out there that are putting out their numbers come Monday morning, and their followers are jumping on those, and they're kind of getting down every single book that they can before the numbers change everywhere. So that's why you'll see these line moves a lot come Monday morning. But for now, we won one bet already for the week, or for week 16. That was the Ravens Bengals over 43.5. And I think I had told you I felt good on that one, even up to like 44.5. And I was like, you might want to buy the point down, or if it's like at 45. We ended up not even needing that. It went well over. I think it ended like at 62. So sweat-free win on that one. The other play for the week is looking good so far. It was a tease with the Packers -1, so we already hit that portion of the leg. The other second portion of that leg was the Saints game, Saints-Dolphins, under 45.5. Now the line has moved because when we got it, it was at 39.5, and that's why the tease took it up to 45.5. Now it's down to 37, so it has gone 2.5 points in our favor. So that's a huge line movement, and that's 3, 6, about 7%, 7.5% increase in value to our number, which means that roughly 57.5% of the time we should be winning that particular wager. So we have a good number. We're in a good spot, and it looks like we're in a good place to finish out week 16 at 2-0. So hopefully that becomes true. But I'm already looking ahead to week 17. Like I said, and I have found some value in this one kind of early. I will tell you right now that there is value in this Colts game. My numbers have the Colts really at about a 5-point favorites. So if you wanted to bet the Raiders, you could at the full 8.5 or 8, and I fully expect that this is going to come down. So if you like the Colts, this number I believe is going to probably come down to like 7 or 7.5 tomorrow morning. If you don't, just I guess leave it there. If you wanted to tease the Colts, you could do that to make it a valuable line, because you would be crossing through the 5.5, which is what I am valuing it at. But you're also getting through the 7, the 6, and the 3 if you tease it. So there's a couple ways to play that game, but that's a game that is ripe with value. If you do like the Colts, though, what I would say is to wait. Wait if you want to jump on that teaser, because I really do believe it's going to go down. Maybe go up a 0.5 point if it does go up, if people are just jumping on the Colts. But I don't think that'll be all in one motion. I think, if anything, you see some people tomorrow picking some value on the Raiders side, and then possibly getting back down on the Colts when it gets down to 7. So let's let that one play out. See if we can get it down to Colts -7, and then we can tease it down to the Colts -1 and get through all those key numbers. But the numbers that are valuable right now: Buccaneers -13 and the Bills -14. Honestly, I like both of those straight up, but teasing these numbers is really what's going to get us value here. Both the Bills and the Buccaneers are still fighting for their respective divisions, or I guess in the Bills' case, they're trying to win their division. The Buccaneers are trying to get a first place spot in the NFC. So it's still on the table. They can still do it. They are kind of hampered right now, but they need to win this game in order to even stay in that hunt and kind of hope some things break their way. But they should be able to do that. What I don't like, though, is that these lines are so huge. Yes, both of these teams should be able to beat the hell out of both of their opponents, but this is one of those situations where if the Patriots lose their game and the Bills are, they've already, we're kind of clinching at this point, they may start taking out some of their guys. And we're at that point of the year where they may start taking out some of their players if they are up by a margin in that fourth quarter. We just saw it with the Cowboys game. Now, mind you, that was a huge blowout. But if the Buccaneers are up like 20 points, maybe even 17 points, and it's like the fourth quarter, midway through the fourth quarter, you may see the Buccaneers just totally take out their starters. They don't want to risk anybody else, especially since Godwin seems to be gone for the year and Fournette is gone for the foreseeable future at this point. The Bills, again, in the same boat. They're really just trying to get the win. So, again, if they're up by like 20, if they're up by 17, by 24, anything where it's going to be like a 3-possession game, and it's, let's say, midway to maybe even the full fourth quarter, they may be taking out some of these guys. I don't think they'll sit the full fourth quarter in most cases, unless it's like a huge blowout. But even if they're up by like 17 and it's maybe halfway down, what you don't want to have happening is they take out everybody and then they end up winning by like 10 and it screws your cover. So we're teasing both of these teams down. With the 6-point tease, with a 7-point tease, it's gonna take us down to the Buccaneers -6 and the Bills -7. So 7-point tease, yeah, you are gonna pay that extra juice to get it to 7 instead of the typical 6, but you're gonna get those key numbers. With the Buccaneers getting down to 6, I think that one is relatively easy ask from the Buccaneers to beat the Jets by 1 score. I have them capped at really like a 13-point, basically where the lines are at in both of these games is where my numbers put these at. Again, keep in mind that the numbers are exactly that. At this point of the year, the numbers are important, but you also kind of have to handicap the will to beat the shit out of a team this bad, because again, what's more important, winning this week where you already basically have locked up a playoff spot, or keeping your guys healthy. So that's why I'm teasing that one. But that's one play that I like for this week is going to be the Buccaneers Bills, both teased down to 7-point tease. Second, and this is the one that I like probably just a little bit more, just because it is a standalone game and I prefer to bet standalones and get one thing right instead of trying to get two right. The Chiefs -4.5 against the Bengals. We had the over on that Bengals-Ravens game. One of the reasons for that, and really the reason why I'm liking the Chiefs for next week, is that the Ravens were missing really like their entire secondary. They had almost nobody back there. Like half the damn secondary was out. They lost more guys during the game. The Bengals, they're going to try to beat you with the pass. That's just how they play. They love playing that like 3 wide, stance. Who wouldn't, right, with the receivers they have? But that's not going to be the case for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are coming in with a defense who's playing actually above their pay grade right now. They're playing pretty solid. They just held the Steelers for like the first 3 quarters, I believe, to just 0 points. And again, it's the Steelers. Not a huge accomplishment, I guess. But they are playing very well. The second half of games, the Chiefs have been just straight demolishing people. The Steelers game was a little bit of an anomaly because the Steelers actually scored more in that second half. But that's because the Chiefs were up by like 30 points. So, take that with a grain of salt. But typically the Chiefs, first half, they play decent on defense. The second half, they're allowing, I believe, like on average 7 points in the second half. And that's going back like 6 or 7 weeks at this point. So usually if it's a close game going into it, into halftime, the Chiefs are able to pull that out in the second half. And it's more their defense than their offense. They should also be getting Kelsey back next week. Hopefully Tyreek Hill, I don't know if he was maybe suffering from the illness still, or if he just wasn't really necessary in this particular game, as to why they weren't getting him involved. But I do believe they're going to get him involved next week. Secondly, though, the Bengals offense has just not really been able to take advantage of the weak spots that the Chiefs have. Typically, the running game is the advantage of the team whenever they can go in and attack that run, the rush defense of the Chiefs. And yeah, they probably still could do that. But if the Chiefs are playing up to potential, they should be able to keep that run game in check. But enough of me ranting. Let me actually get into the numbers here. So as far as the Madden algorithm and the DVOA algorithm, which is this up here, we have the Chiefs favored by about 7 points. They pretty much have every advantage across the board. They are playing in Cincinnati, so that's the one thing working against them. We're going to give the Bengals 1 point for being at home. Aside from that, field position is about the same as of right now. It's 5.9 for each. I think that may be changing because they have not updated yet for these games. It just happened today, which again Sunday, but they both had really good showings and just beat the hell out of both their opponents today. So I think it's probably going to be pretty even still. Quarterback wise, obviously Mahomes is the advantage there. Defensively, the Chiefs again, they have a 0.3 DVOA, which isn't great, but that's because the first half of the season they couldn't get their defense together. The Bengals at the -1.5 DVOA. Again, they've been good, but we're going to get into their schedule here in just a second. I'll show you kind of more or less why that DVOA is looking so good. Offensively, Chiefs at a 14.1% DVOA, where the Bengals are still in the negative. Now, again, after this week, these numbers are probably going to change. They won't update until Tuesday. So keep in mind, this DVOA is going to change. It's probably going to be like a -5 for the Bengals and maybe like a -3 for the Chiefs, just because they had really good defensive showings this week. So that's going to change, but again, I think it's going to be a pretty even change since both these teams had a pretty decent showing. But what's not going to be accounted for in those numbers is, again, the lack of depth in that secondary for the Ravens. And while that doesn't really mean too much for the Bengals defense, it did put the defense in a lot of good positions. Really, from like the second quarter on, they were just playing the pass, and they didn't give a shit if the Ravens could run or not, because they were up by like 17 points really early. So again, same thing for the Chiefs. So this DVOA, again, the numbers that are being updated, I'm repeating this over and over and over again because I know it's going to come up. Someone's going to say, hey, this is not the numbers I got on like Wednesday. Yeah, that's right, it's changed. But again, they're going to be pretty even, so we're using them right now to take advantage of the line that's being presented to us. Offensive DVOA, same thing here. You're probably going to see these numbers move. Again, probably going to be pretty equal. The good thing to take away from this is that the Chiefs really have about a 6 to 6.5 point advantage on offense. And again, really what I cannot state enough here is that Ravens secondary was so depleted, which is why we took the over for that game, that really helped that Bengals offensive attack. And so even though this number is going to go up, some of that is kind of fool's gold, because you got to look at the strength of the opponent that they're playing. Before we get into the Bengals schedule, though, let's look at what's going on so far as the rest of the numbers. Strength of schedule when it comes to defenses. So that how tough are the teams that they have played this year? Well, the Bengals have had the number one easiest strength of schedule so far. The Chiefs have had the 10th easiest strength of schedule. So Chiefs have the advantage there, just in that they've played some harder teams. Explosive pass offense strength of schedule. This is very important for this game. If you've watched both these teams, you know exactly what they want to do. They want to pass the ball. They want to be high-octane offenses. Joe Mixon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire can both be effective, but these teams run through their quarterback. They run through their receivers. They want to get that air game going, and then they'll run off of that. The Chiefs have had the 31st easiest, which means that is the second hardest schedule against really good explosive passing offenses. They've played teams like the Cowboys. They played teams that can, really blow up on the scoreboard, and then they can put up a lot of yards through the air quick. The Bengals are the 16th easiest schedule, so they're average. They've played an average schedule so far as teams that are, being able to move the ball through the air. Again, another advantage for the Chiefs. They are playing these harder teams. They're more accustomed to this level of competition when it comes to playing teams that really can move the ball through the air and have good receivers and all that kind of stuff. EDSR, so early down success rate. How often are these teams putting together good drives, and how often are they having good first downs where they're getting half the yardage needed for a first down? The Chiefs are doing that 54% of the time. The Bengals are only doing that 48% of the time. Again, another advantage for the Chiefs, kind of dictated here with this offensive DVOA, just showing that the offense for the Chiefs is not only better, but it's more consistent than the Bengals, which puts that Bengals defense, as well as the Chiefs offense and the Chiefs defense, in better positions. Defensive EDSR. Now, this is the one advantage that the Bengals do have. The Chiefs defense, again, like I said, it's been looking better these last few weeks, but if you look at it from the season-long perspective, they allowed 53.5% EDSR, again, early down success rate, where the Bengals have only allowed 48% successful plays in those first couple downs. So the Bengals defense can possibly step up a little bit to maybe slow the Chiefs down, where the Chiefs maybe not so much. Maybe the Bengals have a little bit of a better showing against the Chiefs than they would some other teams, but probably not as good as they showed against the Ravens. Lastly, let's look at the QBR. Again, Mahomes, 59 QBR. Joe Burrow, 52.8. Not a big surprise. Mahomes is still Mahomes. This is what I was talking about, your explosive pass offense for the efficiency. Chiefs are way down here, so they have played, again, the 31st hardest schedule so far, where your Bengals are right here. They're literally dead even. They're right, average. Passer rating by direction. Now, this is another one that's pretty important, and you got to look at these as we get further into the season because you can really show some tendencies. Joe Burrow he really is quite good at dissecting the middle of the field. He has 101 QBR, whether he's passing short or far. He has a really good QBR if you give him the middle of this field, and I guarantee you that Andy Reid and his defensive team is going to be looking at that and trying to find a way to take away these passing routes and kind of crossing patterns here. Whereas the Chiefs, with Mahomes, also really, really good at passing down the middle of the field, but just that's really stands out a lot more because he's got a 120 QBR, whereas Joe Burrow has the 101. Mahomes is really picking like this left side and middle, where Joe Burrow's maybe a little bit more diverse with where he wants to go with the ball, so it's a little bit harder to pick. But this 101 straight down the middle is a huge red flag to me because that's where you got to stop. If you look at the defenses, though, that's exactly what the Chiefs stop. They only allow a 63 QBR in the middle of the field. They are stopping those crossing routes. They're stopping your tight end. They're stopping all this stuff short middle. So that's not to say that the Bengals won't come up with a way around that. But the Chiefs have a really good plan of attack to stop that exact passing route and that exact passing tree. On the other side here, this is the Cincinnati defense and kind of where they're trying to stop people. Not so much. They really don't have a place that they're great at stopping. They can shut down this deep pass, which is, it's important because you don't want to give up too many explosive plays, especially to the Chiefs who, that's what they do. Taking you down from a 92 to a 51, that's a pretty big deal. But this middle of the field right here, deep or short, is really where Mahomes is going to be looking, and this is where Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, assuming he's healthy, are going to be looking to make their beans here, and that's just, it signals a bad day for the Bengals defense, really. And so, again, all the advantages here going the Chiefs' way. The matchup advantages go the Chiefs' way. The numbers are pointing the Chiefs. Again, they're pointing a 7-point favorite as far as the numbers I'm being able to spit out here. Everything points to not only a Chiefs win, but a Chiefs at least by 1 score win. And if that wasn't enough, the last thing I want to show you here is just kind of the Bengals and who they've played and where or how these teams have matched up. Ravens, obviously, their third-string quarterback, run-heavy team anyways, got pretty handled by the Bengals. Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt. Again, another pretty run-heavy team, or team that likes to run and do a lot of short underneath passing stuff. Bengals are able to squeak out a win against them. 49ers, who can pass the ball somewhat, but like to run. They like to use Debo, obviously running left and right. They have one of the best ground games in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan kind of scheming those up, and they were able to pull out the win against the Bengals, but it was a pretty close game. The Chargers, again, now this is really the difference here, because this is a team who likes to pass, a team who has the weapons that can move the ball, and has a quarterback that can use his weapons, and they're able to just pretty handily beat the Bengals down, almost 20 points. Steelers, again, another team where we all know Ben is not going to throw too much on you, and he's not going to throw too far. So they get beat by the Bengals. Raiders, again, Derek Carr, not really a whole lot of weapons. I believe by this game they had already lost Ruggs, and they had already lost Zay Jones. And I'm not sure if Del Waller played in that one or not. But either way, Bengals able to pretty handily knock that team down. Browns, Bengals, another run-heavy team that was able to beat the Bengals, surprisingly enough. But, again, hey, it happens. The Browns are one of the best at what they do, but they beat them. Jets, this was obviously a surprise. The Jets are another pretty run-heavy team. They were able to beat the Bengals there. Bengals beat the Ravens a couple weeks ago. Again, this was a win actually for us. We had the Bengals to win this game. I think we had like Bengals +3 back then, so we got that win. But again, just another one showing that the Bengals are going to probably beat you or have a really good showing if you're going to just try to run the ball through them. Lions, again, another run-heavy team. Packers, who, again, can move the ball. They were trying to run earlier in the season. I think that may be why this game was so close. They were trying to get Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon going and just really weren't able to pull away from teams the way they should have. But they did get the win against the Bengals. Jaguars-Bengals, I remember watching this game and having a bet on that first quarter. I think we won that one. Not 100% off the top of my head, but I do believe we won that one. Either way, another team who wanted to run and run and run. The Bengals took their sweet-ass time getting going in this game. I remember watching that first half, but they got it going. It was kind of an uglier game, but eventually they get it going and they get the win in this one. Bengals-Steelers, another one where Ben just can't throw the damn ball. Bengals win that one. Bears-Bengals, another one where Bears aren't going to be throwing on you. The Bengals lose, but again, it's another close game. And same thing here, Vikings-Bengals, first game of the year. Bengals win that game in overtime, but the Vikings, again, another team who just wanted to run and run and run. So as you see, and the reason I went through this whole schedule is to show you that they've only played a handful of teams at best that not only could throw the ball, but that actually wanted to throw the ball. Let's say that the Packers wanted to throw the ball on them and the Chargers, and that's pretty much it. There's really not another team out there that stands out to me saying, okay, this was a really heavy passing attack. And those two games they ended up losing. So I don't think it's a big stretch that we're asking or that we believe the Chiefs are going to win this game. Now it's just a matter of, are they going to win by margin? And I believe that this game is going to probably be on the better side of a blowout. It may not end up looking like that on the scoreboard, but I don't think this is a game you're going to be sweating as far as like a Chiefs money line bet. It's going to probably be a closer finish if the Chiefs have a huge lead like in the second, third quarter the way that they did today. But either way, I believe the Chiefs do win, and I believe that -4.5 is going to present pretty good value for you, and I fully expect this number to move up because all the sharp guys are not fooled by what happened today with the Bengals. It's going to most likely move up, and I could see this thing getting to 6 pretty quick. So I would jump on this line as soon as you can, whatever book you can, before it gets to the -6. So that's it today, guys. Finally had time to really get into some numbers with you and really walk you through a game. Appreciate the time. Appreciate your support, guys. You all have a great night, a good day. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you were celebrating, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan. I'm down with all of it. Hopefully everybody's happy out there. Y'all have a good day.